Hello, everyone. Hello, Pulsers. I'm Marcel, back with the Pulse, still at my parents', heading back home in a couple days, and have an update for you guys about this new NMN pricing. I've been asking this week, how the outlook looks, because the original price cut was for this batch. And I sort of just treated it as a price cut because batches typically last a while. And, I'm an optimist by nature, so I'm kind of looking at this like, well, it'll probably be extended or it'll probably go on for a while. So I just called it a price drop and didn't get any pushback from them on that. But I did start to ask this week, hey, how's it look going forward? And it turns out that, first of all, the price reduction has been the most, which I didn't know at first. I knew that one of the products was the lowest of 33%. So it's kind of like price reduction on NMN at DoNotAge.org up to 33%. And then you can continue to use my code, the Pulse. You save another 10%. So it's a big, reduction ultimately. And then you get their points program and you could still subscribe. So there's a lot of cool stuff there. But if you bought capsules, come to find out, it's only about 21, 22% discount. So I guess the cost of changing that over is a little different because there's more involved with making the capsules than just putting powder in a container. The 183 grams was almost the same as 100 grams, about 31%. I did some quick math on the discount there. So the best discount was the 100-gram container of NMN powder. So if you've taken capsules and you want to save some money, if you've ever thought about maybe trying the powder instead, I appreciate taking the powder because, it gets through the mucous membrane. You're not just reliant on your digestive tract to get it into the bloodstream. And for me, it just works really well. And I've had, different issues in my head, like with anxiety or with allergies, and just getting colds or viruses occasionally, and it seems to have made a big difference there. So where are we going forward? Well, the word I'm getting is the response was so through the roof. Now, I've never seen anything like this. I've been doing this almost 3 years. I've made videos. I've documented my own NMN story here, the other supplements I take, but that being the cornerstone of much of what I'm doing. And most of the people here take NMN at minimum. Like the 10,000 people that have taken NMN, that's like the main go-to. And then, there's the CERT6 activator, TMG. It kind of goes on from there, omega-3, certainly collagen, creatine, CAKG. Those are all really popular, but basically, it looks like almost every order I see using the code the Pulse is for NMN, and with good reason. It's a significant game changer for many of us. So going forward, it'd be nice to get that. Well, it turns out that this collective, our collective of people, like we're the NMN takers, we're the customers, I'm an affiliate, I'm an influencer, I guess you'd call me, and then there's DoNotAge. I've never seen a company so apt to just pass on a discount. Usually it's profit-taking time, right? You negotiate a lower price on something, those cost of goods don't immediately go down in the marketplace unless there's a competitive landscape. And NMN is less competitive than it used to be. It used to be more competitive where there were more outlets selling it before FDA's actions. So for it to come down, as I said last time, right now, it's really amazing, really strange, and I've never seen it. Well, so the reverberations I've also never seen. I've never seen, why would we do an update a week later? Well, we're finding out more. And what we're finding out is the response has been so significant that the posturing is already beginning for the next batch. They're running low on 100 grams. So 100-gram containers are the ones that are going the fastest. And that is the one with the biggest discount. They're trying to refill those, but that one's going to run out first. But the next batch, I think is going to be impacted. I don't just think, I'm hearing it should be impacted by the quicker turnaround. So if you're ordering a batch every 3 months, I don't know how often they order, but say it's every 3 months, and suddenly you order another batch in a month, that's a big deal. And that's helping your, economy of scale kick in, and your negotiating position improves dramatically when you could say, hey, we're going to order more often going forward because we're getting more customers, we're getting more people. The word is spreading that DoNotAge has a great rate, and it's all really, going well. I think it was around 500 people used the code the past week, the Pulse. at DoNotAge on NMN. That's crazy numbers in a week's time. And like I said, we're over 10,000 of you taking it. A lot of people had already had their stock or they subscribed for a year. But, the longer this goes on, the more it's all going to hit our buying cycles, and we'll all have a shot at saving that big money. And I think the landscape is changing. And I'm seeing more people step up and take NMN, and seeing more response from viewers and seeing more positive comments. I had some amazing comments last week. I'm kind of living in two worlds. And I'm reminded of this coming home, especially. This is when, and I've talked a little bit about this in the past, but I wanted to get into this because I think a lot of you are going to fit one of those two categories. The first category being myself, my own experiences, and viewers, right, that take NMN and comment. You guys have influenced me as much as I've influenced you, because getting that reinforcement feedback or advice about things as it comes up, or me sharing my protocol has invited input from viewers that has helped me shape my protocol. So it really it is a collaborative effort that we're all doing to try to find ways to better our final decades and years and decades, hopefully, on this planet. For me, it's been 3 years, and I'm operating under the assumption that another 3 and another 3 and another 3 are going to be positively impacted by the changes that I've made and things I'm making, and still tweaks that I'm making. About 80% of the people that take NMN report positive experiences. That 10 to 20%, and I don't know how many of the 20% is real, frankly. So I always say, well, it's 10 to 20% that aren't, and maybe some people that just have underlying health issues that aren't able to feel benefits. But we did find out some new information that was really supported by Dr. Shi in a couple conversations I've had about CoQ10 with him, and how that can help increase NAD levels through the ATP pathway. So it's a different pathway than the NMN conversion pathway to NAD intracellularly entering the cells and boosting. And of course, we've talked before about there are carriers that bring it into the cell, how it gets into the cell, how it could break up, recombine into NAD inside the cell. Fascinating stuff that we've talked about before, and that is sort of an ongoing dialogue in how it's all working. And then the question remains, how much of the tissue gets it? Well, we're seeing in more studies that there is increase in NAD levels in the tissue. So, but to varying degrees in muscle tissue, and it takes time. One viewer commented, who was 68 years old, was taking medications, had underlying health issues, and 2 to 3 years. They took NMN for 7 years so far. The biggest changes happened in 3 to 4 years, or 2 to 4 years. Forget the exact number. And they were just living a dream, really. They were off the medications they were on before, and they're living and feeling decades younger. And that is reflective of the world that most of you and myself have resided in, at least those of you taking NMN. The CoQ10 is interesting because it does work that ATP pathway. And for some of you that aren't feeling what myself or that 68-year-old have felt, it's an opportunity. I did start taking CoQ10 about 3 weeks ago, and I think I'm feeling better. I know that's anecdotal. It's like the definition of anecdotal, especially when you can't say definitively. I do feel better. I don't know how much of that to attribute directly to that, and I never will specifically. But I'm a believer. I'm feeling enough and have researched it enough that I'm like, I think it's worth trying, especially if you're not getting quite the results you want. Say you're taking NMN, you're getting partial results. Just try it. See if working on that ATP pathway to improve or increase NAD levels works for you. And it's all really about what works for you. Visiting with my folks, my stepfather was telling me about a guy who was on medications, suffering from a condition, and he put together his own protocol through research to reduce inflammation, to improve his life, and he's off his medications. That list doesn't happen to include NMN, but it includes some of the things I'm taking and many of the things I've heard of, and he's doing well. The bottom line is he went out, self-researched, found a protocol that's helping him. Of course, I'm recommending, and my stepfather suggested, He look into NMN because it may enhance his results even more. But hey, find a protocol that works for you. And that's all we're doing here, is finding that. The second category of people that I interact with, and I bring this up specifically, and maybe some of them will watch this, and if your feelings are a little hurt, I'm sorry. But I'm running into many people that are suffering from various conditions. They're aging like me. They're my age or older, or even beyond. And they say, yeah, I've got this, I've got this, I've got this, I've got this. They share this stuff. They talk about potential surgeries they're going to have to go through, how they're dreading it. And I mention NMN, and it's like force field goes up. They're not having it. And I used to talk about David Sinclair, but now he's more of a controversial figure. So I'll mention Andrew Huberman, Dr. Shi. Heck, I've put some relatives on the phone with Dr. Shi and let him talk to them. And I've sent NAD tests to some relatives who are in the process right now of getting their NAD levels tested. So I'm willing to talk this through, like give it a chance. But for some reason, some people would just rather complain and talk about the medications they're taking and the side effects they're having and the surgeries they have to go through. And I'm like, well, why didn't you do something about it? They don't want to make a change. That force field goes up. They're not hearing it. I don't necessarily always go right to NMN. Certainly I'll bring it up, but I'll bring up the lifestyle changes, the things that are easy to do. And I get a laundry list of excuses of why they're not going to do anything, and why they can't walk more, why they can't do this more, why they can't stretch, why they can't change to a higher concentration of vegetables. And if for anyone out there in that boat, or people, I know we all know people in that boat, what have you got to lose? And I'm at the point where you must really enjoy the condition you're in, right? Because you're not trying to change it yourself. Well, my doctor said, I'm sorry. Your doctor is not responsible for your health. You are, first and foremost. Your doctor is in charge of treating you with medications and procedures and surgeries. But they're not in charge. You have to take charge of your health. Practice self-care. Find things in your everyday lifestyle that can improve your life condition and ultimately your health. It's on us. It's on you. That's the biggest lesson I've learned of all. NMN helps me. Great. That's great. I've learned about different supplements. Great. It's great to know. I've learned about nutrition. I've learned about caloric restriction. I've learned about how to better exercise and more safely exercise, and stretching, and how to take cold showers and when to eat, and how to get more sleep, and all of this stuff. Get some vitamin D naturally from the sun, but not too much. But that's me taking control of my self-care and not saying, but my doctor says. Seriously? You expect a once in a quarter doctor's appointment is going to make a bigger impact on your life than changing your lifestyle every day? I'm sorry, there's no way. I know some people get some serious conditions. I've had relatives come close to dying from serious conditions. We need doctors. I get it. But they're not in charge of your health care. They're not. They're in charge of treating your condition. And that's pretty much it. And they're not going to be of much use until you develop a new condition. But it's up to you to make lifestyle changes to avoid getting these conditions as much as possible. And this is with or without NMN or the pulse or any of it. This is on us. And yeah, I'm a little animated right now. I'm a little frustrated because my relatives, I don't see them taking control of their lives like they could. And okay, if something's working for a friend or a relative and it's a natural ingredient, yes, I also don't see the harm in trying it and seeing if it works for you and giving it an honest chance. And in some cases, understanding it's going to take not weeks, but months, and maybe even years to experience the full benefit, because you didn't get in the condition that you're in overnight. And you can't expect natural ingredients and a natural change to your lifestyle to change your situation overnight. So that's my soapbox speech, for both worlds. If you're in the first world and, try CoQ10. Dr. Shi was saying, yes, unrelated to the fact that DoNotAge just started selling it. We never even talked about that. I just asked him about it. He got excited about it, and he started telling me that he's having success with people that he knows that weren't having success from NMN alone. So it could enhance your results if you're taking NMN, and it could help you gain results if you're taking NMN and not feeling them. CoQ10, try it. See if that helps. Having you guys to help me through this, has been my social network. And if a social network helps us live longer, thank you for being my social network and keeping me going and getting me positive and getting me out in front of you. No matter where I am in the world, you guys have seen it, traveling for different reasons. This was a very small business trip, but also then decided to stay longer because my parents live in the area. And I'm glad to always check in with you guys. And I want to thank you, those of you that still watch, in spite of the YouTube algorithm, those of you that tune in, thank you. And I'll see you again soon.